Hi Taurus and Taurus Rising, this is your January 2017 forecast. So happy new year to all of you, and after a very optimistic start for you with the sun in your 9th house until the 20th of January. Now the sun in the 9th is the time when you want to broaden your horizons. This is the house of travel, specialist study. It's all the ways that we take ourselves from the mundane towards more meaningful things in our life. So this is a very good time to take up a new study course or a hobby even. You know, you can do this for practical or for pleasurable purposes, but what you really want to do is break up routine a bit. You're looking for more meaningful experiences. So broadening your horizons, it could be through travel, it could be through new cultural experiences, it could be through any kind of adventure that takes you beyond the ordinary. You're also more sensitive to spiritual and metaphysical ideas at this time. So remember, this is the time when you want to feed into that spirit of adventure. From the 20th of January, the sun will be moving into your 10th house, which is the house of career and profession. Here, when the sun is here, you can make more contact with authority figures. You can also be called upon to be an authority in your chosen career. And besides that, the spotlight really is on career objectives and goals. So if you need to make a bit of a course correction, this is the time when you want to consider those things. Because the 10th house opposes the 4th house, which is the house of your parents. Parents can also be a concern at this time, and your interaction with them can be more important, rather than a concern, I should say. So what else is happening? You've got Mars and Venus in your 11th house, and having Venus in the 11th house, this is the best possible placement for exciting activities with friends, so opportunities to do pleasant, fun, and entertaining activities with friends and with groups. With Mars in the 9th, you know, it's time for some more adventure with friends. Physical activities with friends are really favored. So what you really want to do with Mars in the 11th is coordinate your needs with other people so that you guys are on the same page. So because it's very good for teamwork, you're going to want to make sure that you've got the right fit so that your goals and objectives are aligned with the groups and the friends that you're associating with. So as I said, Venus in the 11th, the best possible placement for group activities and fun activities with friends, and they'll be coming to you. You won't have to make too much of an effort to go and find them. And with Mars in the 11th, you'll be wanting to formulate your goals and objectives and drives in relation to groups, friends, and social networks. Mercury is going to be in your 9th house for the whole month. Until the 8th of January, Mercury is still retrograde, and this is where you want to re-examine your beliefs about life, you know, your philosophy of life. It's a good time also to resit exams or to take up courses of study. So also good for revising, proofreading, anything that you want to publish or teach. So with Mercury retrograde until the 8th, you still want to triple check all travel plans and be prepared for some cancellations and delays. Because the 9th house is also the house of faith, this is when you might find yourself asking the big questions about life and, you know, being prone to more philosophical introspection and spiritual reflection. So in the 9th, when Mercury goes direct, this is good for all kinds of study and education. So Mercury is that planet of the mind. It's how we think and speak. So your mind is on travel, your mind is on study, your mind is on teaching or publishing and developing these things. So you want to also at this time expose yourself to new ideas, experience, and philosophies. You know, your mind is very open to these things at this time. So really challenge yourself to think beyond the ordinary or outside of the box. So the new moon on the 29th of December is going to be in your 9th house, and it's in Capricorn, which is a very practical and grounded placement. So the 9th house, that house of travel and study and learning and metaphysical pursuits, is, you know, going to have the sun and the moon conjuncting Mercury. So it's a time of gathering information around these areas, and also with the moon and Mercury discerning how you feel about these things. So with the sextile to Mars in the 11th house, you're also looking at, you know, what kind of gambles can you take? What kind of risks can you take to further your goals and objectives? And for you, this is going to be particularly around travel, study, learning, or publishing or teaching. So a very constructive new moon, and those energies running for the first 2 weeks of January. So this is where you want to be having lots of conversations, you know, thinking about where you want to point your arrow next, and so where you're going to be heading. So formulating goals and objectives around travel, study, and learning. So on the 1st of January, we've got Mars conjunct Neptune, and this can have people feeling a bit off color because the 11th house is the house of friendship. It could also be a friend who's a bit off color, who's bringing the morale down, or perhaps behaving in a Neptunian way. So perhaps a bit of too much excess, Neptune and Mars together can sometimes show intoxication, inebriation. But you may also find that you're just feeling a bit exhausted at this time. Perhaps it's been too much of a good thing for you too. So not to take this energy too seriously. Because the 11th house is the house of hopes, dreams, and objectives, it should be said that Mars and Neptune together can also be very good for charitable activities and service to others. So if there's something or a group that you align with where you can give a bit of yourself to make the world a better place, then this aspect can be very useful for that. But do expect to feel a little bit fatigued at this time. On the 3rd of January, Mercury sextiles Venus between the 9th and the 11th house. And this is great for leisurely pursuits of the mind, for exploration, for entertainment with friends. Venus and Mercury together make for great conversations, also for scenic outings, and it's very good for feelings of love and friendship, particularly because Venus is in that 11th house of love and friendship. You'll find that you're more able to express feelings of love to other people, so it's good for, engaging with a friend, for opening your heart, telling them how you feel about them. On the 7th, we've got the Sun conjuncting Pluto, and although this is a short transit, it can be quite intense. These energies can be creative or destructive, and for you in the 9th house, it's going to be around travel, study, learning. So perhaps, there's something there that you want to get off the ground, you want to develop, you want to take it further. This one can be quite intense. So for you, it could also be about challenging your faith, looking for new understanding, so ways that challenge your current philosophy of life. Are you living it? Are you implementing it? This one could have you asking those sorts of questions. On the 10th, we've got the Sun squaring Uranus from their 9th to the 12th houses. And this can show some upsets and disruptions in routine because the 9th house can relate to travel. It could be upsets with travel plans. There could also be some conflict with teachers or authority figures. This aspect has one wanting to be free from restrictions, but often impulsivity and rashness can be the consequence of this. So, watch out because you may also find that you're a little bit more accident prone at this time. But most likely going to be upsets or disruptions with relation to travel or study plans. So the full moon this month is in your 3rd house, and it's got very favorable aspects to Jupiter in your 6th house between the sun and the moon. So those favorable aspects with Jupiter can really help with an energy boost for getting something off the ground. The 3rd house is that house of communications, routine affairs, so shuffling up your routine. Paperwork can catch up with you, but you'll have the energy to kind of handle those details. The squares between the sun and the moon and Jupiter are really good for getting a work or health project off the ground. Or for implementing a new course of study that's going to help you further your interests and objectives work-wise. So good for starting a health routine or considering a health routine. So, things can always come to a little bit of a head with the full moon. So, like I said, those details in terms of paperwork or communications, texts, emails, phone calls that you have to make may catch up with you, but you'll have the energy to tackle those things. On the 19th, we've got Mars squaring Saturn between your 11th and your 8th houses. And this aspect can show a lot of frustration. It's the two malefics in difficult aspects, so you can find your efforts are blocked by circumstances, by other people. So this could be happening through friends or groups. Or, you may find that people that you respect are a little bit discouraging, so, this could make you angry. You'll want to keep your head down and just plod through. So go slowly and cautiously, and if you do find some resistance from a friend, just know that this energy too shall pass. So on the 20th, the sun goes into your 10th house. So for the last 10 days of the month, the focus and the spotlight is going to be on career, profession, reputation. This is a very visible and public house, so it can also have mistakes that you've made, being exposed, more contact with authority figures, and as I said, also an opportunity to be more visible in public and an authority in your own field. So here you can also find that your professional skills are being tested a little bit more, and also this is where if you want to make course corrections to your career objectives, this is the energy that's going to help you shed light on it. So you'll be more clear about what you want to do, what direction you want to take, what course corrections you want to make. So between the 20th and the 23rd, we've got two very favorable social aspects for you. We've got Venus sextiling Pluto, which always deepens feelings of love and friendship. And Venus is still in your 11th house. So this is good for strengthening ties and deepening relationships, making you feel more close-knit and connected to a group that you're associated with. So good for forging strong, deep connections. And on the 23rd, Mercury will be sextiling Neptune, and this really stimulates the imagination, heightens the senses. So good for escapist activities. Again, the house of friendship being activated for you. So doing some escapist activities with a friend would be good. Seeing a movie, going on a hike, having a philosophical conversations. So you may want to make some travel plans or plans for an outing with a friend around about these dates. So on the 27th, we've got a little bit more of a tricky friendship aspect for you, well, because it's happening in the 11th house of friends and groups. We've got Venus squaring Saturn, and Venus and Saturn in hard aspect can always show cooling off of the affections. You know, you're inclined to look at your relationships and friendships, perhaps one in particular, with a bit more of a cool detachment and analysis. So that kind of cool analysis, you know, can make you just step back a little bit, you know, take a bit of space from something, from a friend or a group, and just consider whether it's a fair give and take. The new moon on the 28th of January is going to be in your 10th house. So again, the spotlight on careers. And this is going to have you very motivated with regards to professional advancement, recognition. You'll find it puts the spotlight on career and public responsibilities. Your standing in society is going to be more highlighted, and you'll be developing career goals and objectives for the next 2 weeks. So really planning how to get further with those career goals and objectives, and the spotlight in this area of your chart with the sun here. So on the 29th, we've got Mercury conjuncting Pluto in your 9th house, and this is very good for research and investigation, particularly around 9th house matters, which could be philosophy, the law, you know, occult or metaphysical studies. So this is where you can really dive deep and get some answers and get to the bottom of things. Again, very good for shrewd analysis. On the 31st, we've got Mercury squaring Uranus between the 9th and the 12th houses, and this one, although very good for mental stimulation, can sometimes have one feeling a bit scattered and haphazard. So be careful of impulsive, rash moves. And because the house of travel or long distance travel is indicated, this could again be travel disruptions. So just be a little bit more careful, because this is another aspect that can have one feeling a bit more accident prone. So thank you very much for listening. If you've enjoyed this forecast, please like and subscribe.